Hi. So I wanted to share a little more insight into that vision that I had the other week that I actually mentioned with you guys with the cloud. So I told you it was early morning. I had a vision of a cloud in the sky, and I knew I was supposed to follow it, and the road was a narrow road. Well, many of you know the story, especially if you've watched that video. I was talking about the Israelites and how it says in the scripture that they had a cloud by day and a pillar of cloud by day and fire at night. And the fire not only kept them warm, but it was also so they could see. Same with the cloud. The cloud was a visual of God's protection and direction. Well, I was talking to my mom and completely forgot about this portion in the scripture. So Numbers 9:17 says, whenever the cloud lifted from above the tent, the people of Israel would set on their journeys, and wherever the cloud settled, the people of Israel would camp. So it acted as a guide. The cloud acted as a guide. Movement from the Israelites based on the cloud's movement. And then, the other scriptures you see in Exodus. But I was thinking about the vision. And in the vision, the cloud wasn't directly above me. The cloud was up ahead. And I was behind the cloud, but I was walking towards the cloud. And it was a narrow road. And I don't know why it didn't register, but immediately when my mom was like, oh yeah, they picked up and moved when the cloud moved, I thought about that and I was like, I began to move because I saw the cloud move. Okay, what I want to say to you is there are many of you that are in the same place and you're staying there because you haven't felt God's nudge or God telling you, hey, it's time to go. It's time to shift from this place that you're in to a new place. Or the season that you've been in is now ended. It's time for you to go into the next season. And I know that I'm supposed to tell you today, many of you, this is not for everyone, but many of you, it's time to move. It's time to change the position that you're in. It's time to walk forward. It's time to go into that next place, that next season, that next thing that God has for you. But the time is now. It's here. And I think that sometimes we wait for this monumental whatever before we move. But something I heard a while back, which I think is great advice. It's not a red light till it's green. It's a green light till it's a red light in the things of the Lord. A lot of times we don't move because of fear. We say, oh, I'm not going to go anywhere until I know that God is saying that is the direction. People of God, just like for real, take a listen to this. When you are a righteous son and daughter of God, it says he orders our steps, right? So when we make a choice to move forward, God is going to let you know, hey, this is not it, or this is it. He will give you that direction and that clarity. But I think there are so many of us that are walking in fear. And actually, let me rephrase that. There's many of us that are stagnant in fear and we're not walking in faith. And so there's a lot of times where we need to take those steps forward. And it's just truly just taking that step of faith and then letting God do the rest. So I do believe this is an on-time word for a lot of God's people right now, that it is time to move. It is time to move. I don't know what that looks like for you. I don't know, the fullness and the totality of what that means for you, but it's time to move. I'm going to tell you right now, I was hit hard in October. Spiritually, it was coming on every end. People entering in my life, whether it was trying to be relationally or friendship wise, just trying to throw me off course, right? Or just the attacks of the enemy, like coming hard of like old nature type stuff. And it was wild. It was massive. And I'm like, God, what is happening? And it was a lot. My joy was being attacked. Discouragement was settling in so hard, And even just the discouragement of like, Megan, you know what it's like to combat the enemy and, spiritually. You know what it's like to war. But then there came a day where I said, you know what? I'm tired of being walked over. not just by people, but by like the enemy. The thing is I know my worth. I know what God has created me to do. And I know that he has created me for more, and I'm allowing people to treat me less than what I know I deserve. I'm also allowing, the enemy to trump and to triumph, or to trump the things of the Lord in my life. I'm allowing him to steal my joy. There was like this righteous anger that came up in me that I was like, no more, no more. Because I deserve more, I'm worth more, and I know my worth. And the enemy is trying to bring old habits or old things in to try to disrupt or take me off course. And here's the revelation that he brings in this vision. Megan, the cloud has moved. It's time for you to move. Megan, the tides are changing. It's time for you to wake up. There was almost like this dormant or this spiritual just lack that was trying to take over, or this nature of, oh, I can't do this. Like I'm going to operate in sadness. I'm going to operate in discouragement and let that be my driving force. No, like when that happens, usually my spirit man always rises up a lot quicker than it did in the month of October. But it was like this ongoing nature of just spiritual warfare. And so now I see why. Because it's shifted. There's something that has shifted in the spirit that has now come into the natural. And a lot of us need to grab hold of that. So I just really, really know that there are a few of you, many of you, some of you, I don't know, that you need to be reminded that it is time to move.